Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Most people attribute that truism to William Shakespeare, the bard himself. But truth be told, it seems the phrase is instead a condensed paraphrase of a couplet from William Congreve's 1697 play, The Mourning Bride. And if you're curious, it's Act 3, Scene 2. Heaven has no rage like love to hatred turned, nor hell a fury like a woman scorned. We all can relate one way or another, whether we're a woman, we're a man, or these days, anything and anyone in between. Comes across as sexist to point to one gender over another behaving in a particular way. But let's face it, men and women process their emotions differently. And that isn't to say better or worse. It's just the way it goes. And the way this relationship went is something I'd like to share with you on today's podcast. Hello and welcome to No Hair, All Heart. I'm your still very bald, no hair host, Mookie Spitz. And I'll be the one with heart today as I fly solo to read you a story about a momentous moment in one of my many relationships. And again, I'm sure we can all relate. And this tale is when I literally got my butt kicked off Bourbon Street in Nolens. The morning Lynette punched me in the face. "You just want to have sex with other people," shouted Lynette, lunging out of the hotel bathroom and hurling a clenched fist as if she'd just wound up and released a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Bam! I'd lost consciousness a few times in my life. Severe blood loss after surgery, banging my head in a low-hanging fixture, drinking a half bottle of rum in college, but never from getting punched full on and smack in the face. I'm not sure how long I was knocked out, presumably a few seconds at least. When I woke back up, I literally saw stars and Tweety birds. Moments later, I also saw Lynette standing above me, still by the bathroom door, now wringing her right striking hand and rubbing it with her other one. That impact with my face must have hurt. "So there," she said, not that making her point verbally was also necessary. Around us, the Bourbon Street district of New Orleans kept partying along. We were on our third day in town, and things weren't going well. We'd planned this lover's getaway for months, but a rock and roll road trip I'd taken to the Crossroads a few weeks before enraged her with jealousy, so our Nolens vacation got rushed and felt forced. "You take a week off with Ira and not me?" she'd screamed. "That was a buddy trip," I explained, a slow learner when it comes to women in my always failing strategy of explaining things to people. To try and mend the home front, I acquiesced to accelerating our Louisiana holiday by months. making the whole goddamn vacation seem obligatory. From the second we arrived, Lynette was clingy and dismissive, aloof and obsessed. From mosquito swatting along a bayou tour to gawking at a French Quarter drag show, she couldn't stop making her point. She was angry, and I was guilty. Only problem was that I didn't give a shit, and she sensed that, so she doubled and tripled down. By the 72-hour mark, we'd both had enough, and something had to give. Up to letting her know of that upcoming buddy trip, we'd been inseparable, to the point moving in together after dating for 6 months seemed inevitable. We met at work a couple years before, and I instantly and shamelessly flirted with her. She knew better than to fuck where she ate, so dismissed my advances with the experience and wisdom of a woman who'd seen all that shit before and wanted none of it. I eventually quit, which provided the green light. That and my persistence kept me orbiting through company happy hours and holiday events to stay in her world. After tireless effort on my part and futile resistance on hers, she shrugged, gave up, and relented to my ham-fisted efforts to at long last get her into bed. She was amazing. Typically attracted to full-figured women, Lynette wasn't my type, but I was already notorious for being eager to sleep with anybody, so being attracted to a lithe dancer with short-cropped blonde hair wasn't exactly a stretch. Lithe? She was actually ripped. Still dancing regularly, Lynette began her career as a ballerina and was part of a modern dance troupe. Our first dates were at the gym, and she kicked my ass in every way, from cardio to weights. She was a killing machine, and I was an utterly infatuated, awkward dweeb. We were so touchy throughout our workouts that the gym owner nicknamed us the lovebirds, an epithet that seemed apropos everywhere we'd go. Sitting next to each other in diner booths, making out on street corners, walking hand in hand like teenagers, touching each other with exhibitionist impunity from grocery store aisles to the darkened rows of movie theaters. After I won her over, she went all in. Intensely so, as if collapsing her defense mechanisms unleashed a feverish need that had been burning inside her all along. Before we dated, I couldn't wait and was willing to do anything to get her, while she resisted with equal finesse and determination. After things went downhill, I was as zealous about getting out as she was about making it work. In retrospect, I suppose we each got what was coming to us. Moving in too soon started out exciting, as these mistakes usually do. We fucked constantly and to the point of exhaustion. She was not only built, but flexible, and we both had wild imaginations. We also truly fell in love, which gave our demise a maudlin twist, even and especially if our immaturity and impulsiveness could have had no other likely outcome than a crash and burn in New Orleans. The first sign of trouble in lovebird paradise came suddenly, if not unexpectedly. "You were home all day today," she sniped, returning from work to our one-bedroom apartment. "Yes," I agreed. "I was working from home all day today." "You didn't clean the bathroom." "Wasn't at the top of my to-do list." "No." "I worked all day," she reminded me. "I did too," I reminded her. "But you were home," she stated the obvious. "Yes, I was," I repeated the obvious. You didn't clean the bathroom, she announced with an accusatory tone more suggestive of me spending all day snorting cocaine and banging hookers. No, I looked at her defiantly, hammering nails into my coffin. I did not clean the bathroom. Uh-oh! I recognized these warning signs. Our honeymoon was officially over. We were playing the ancient and timeless game of boy versus girl again. Our hunky-dory fuckfest suddenly flipped into a passive-aggressive, emotional bloodbath of upset girlfriend and defensive boyfriend. She expected me to read her mind. I expected her to be fun all the time. She wanted to fix me. I wanted to fuck her. She thrived on confrontation and my intense reaction as a sign that I still cared about her. I avoided conflict and saw it as a useless and annoying impediment on my way back into her pants. So when her bathroom guilting ninja routine failed to elicit the response she craved, Lynette flipped into her penis-stiffening geisha play. She pointed the relationship vector in the opposite direction, yet it had the same intensity and intent, gaining, sustaining, and ensuring that my attention was fixated around 24/7, 365. Lucky me, she sat on my keyboard naked, her legs spread, while I was typing. Unlike her command to clean the bathroom, this latest gesture to eat her out and then fuck her, surprise, surprise, worked. But after she got me back with a few terrific days and nights of many more bangs and blowjobs, she felt compelled to provoke me all over again. While you're on vacation with Ira, she stated at random and matter-of-factly on a Sunday morning, I'm going to catch up with a few of my old friends. Have fun, is what I mistakenly said, when instead I should have asked, which old friends? You're an asshole for going on that trip, she rubbed it in, when instead she would have said, people I used to go on vacations with. Had I only been following the rules, which I didn't. Hell, I would take asshole any day of the week over her trying and likely succeeding to make me jealous of her ex-boyfriends. Yes, dear listeners, ecstasy had morphed into agony. Yet another in for her, while I was already looking for an out. Question: why, oh why, did I move in with her? Answer: because before we moved in together, I'd never been happier with anyone in my whole life. Follow-up question: am I an insufferable moron? Follow-up answer: yes. A few weeks later, I hit the road with Ira on our buddy trip. We drove from Chicago to the crossroads at the intersection of U.S. Highways 49 and 61, where blues legend says Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil for musical greatness. The symbolism of such a bargain wasn't lost on me. We even pit stopped at Civil War battle sites and Southern Baptist churches along the way. I had such a good time, in fact, that I couldn't hide my enjoyment from Lynette, who raged with the fury of a woman who felt scorned. By the time the angry birds made it to New Orleans, our fate was sealed. Not only had we jettisoned the early and best phase of our relationship, But our incessant affection and attention had created its own precedent that all impending conflicts would annihilate with gusto. "You just want to have sex with other people," shouted Lynette just before punching me in the face. And she was right. By this point, I did want to have sex with other people. I hadn't, but the more possessive, judgmental, and dissatisfied she became with me, the more I wanted to stray. Not to anger her, not even to get even, simply to regain my sense of freedom. Our relationship was doomed. But in that moment, when she smacked me down, we had both triumphed. She let me have it, and I got what I deserved. Not for a nanosecond did I even consider hitting her back. As she stood there by the bathroom, wringing her sore fist, and I lay there watching the stars and Tweety birds, we were exactly where we wanted to be. What a story. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I have retold it as Lynette, no doubt, would agree. Of course, she would come at it from the opposite point of view. The facts might have been similar, maybe even the same. But from her vantage point, I had broken the deal. I was the doting, attentive, swooning boyfriend. From the first seconds when I flirted with her at the job, to the elation that she must have instantly picked up on when I had quit and considered myself officially available to her, to the courtship, to our first romantic moments, culminating in moving in together. In retrospect, the irony is that the entire ship didn't go sinking on down until I believe several months into the cohabitation. And it really was that moment when it flipped. Again, I remember this like yesterday when she came back from work and her entire demeanor had transformed. It was a side of her that I had literally never seen. I had gone from being ignored to being tolerated to being adored. And in this moment, I sensed I was being judged. She communicated disappointment. And presumably, as I hint at in this story, that was intentional. She wanted to convey that she was disappointed in me, for me to recalibrate. Clearly, my level of attention and adoration had even unconsciously ebbed. I was beginning to take her for granted. Beneath every instance of lovers' spats, arguments over cleaning the dishes, making the bed, folding the napkins, leaving a mess on the countertop, showing up on time, there's always an underlying irritation. And the underlying irritation is usually, I believe, around attention. One lover feels the other lover isn't as attentive as they would like, as they would need. There's also an element of game playing. Some folks need to stir the pot, as it were, maybe to feel loved, to be reminded of the intensity, whether it's diminished or not. But there's just this sense of of conflict that needs to play itself out. And in retrospect, we had too much of a good thing. And here's where I fess up to it as well. I needed space, god damn it. Lynette wanted more attention, and I was being smothered. We were in heaven until we weren't. And the flip happened not only for me, but for her. And she was letting me know it, and she was letting me have it. My desire to take this road trip with my friend Ira was indeed planned months prior, but it had everything to do with just getting the hell away from Lynette. I was single for years, most of my adult life. She was the first woman I had ever lived with. Wow, this was a big deal. We threw ourselves into this arrangement, this logistical recalibration out of pragmatic expedience. I think my lease was up, her lease was up, that kind of thing. But it seemed a natural extension of our honeymoon ecstasy. We were just lavishing each other with all that attention, all that sex. But underneath it, the truth came out. And I didn't like it. And guess what? She didn't like it either. And that she ultimately resorted to physical violence fascinates me. Now, in no way do I mean to downplay domestic violence. It's terrible. Addiction, domestic violence. These are endemic tragedies repeating thousands of times across the country, throughout the world. So in no way am I celebrating violence as a valid form of catharsis, let alone one that should be encouraged. I'm simply telling a story and relating in retrospect, frankly, my fascination with this entire vignette. How ultimately we played it out, going from heaven to hell, from ecstasy to agony. And most significantly, she saw this as the beginning of the next phase of our relationship. We were entering a new place that she, no doubt, was content with entering. She facilitated it. She encouraged it with a punch in my fucking face. And I was over it, and she sensed that. Only instead of pulling back, responding to an avoidant personality with that space that they were yearning for as an anxious personality, she was having none of that. And when the punch in the face backfired, it doesn't take much to anticipate or predict where our relationship went from there, which was back on my keyboard with legs splayed, trying to appease me with sex, with food, with more attention. But the dam had already burst, and the spell had already been broken. And as I imply in the story itself, maybe that's deep down what she wanted, what I wanted. We were both chronically, perennially single in medium-term monogamous relationships that would weave and wind and eventually go nowhere. We were entering our formative middle years, still single, and there was something irrevocable and perhaps permanent about why. And that punch in the face reminded both of us of who we were and arguably what we both really wanted. Thanks for listening. If you've got any feedback or comments, let me know. I've got more of these vignettes and I'm eager to share. Like, comment, share, subscribe. More to come.